So for this do now, you have to find the measure of arc AB. That little curve over the letters means arc AB. So the measure of this, which when we ask for arc measure, is measured in degrees. So there's a hint right here that arc BC is 26 degrees. I'll just fill you in right now with some information that'll help you. This angle right here, angle BOC, is also 26 degrees. So that should give you a really big hint about what the measure of arc AB is. And then afterwards, you're also going to have to find the measure of angle AOC right here. So pause your do now so you can do that. Alright, let's start with the easy one, arc AB. Since angle AOB is 172 degrees, arc AB is 172 degrees. And the key to that is that the vertex of the angle is the center of the circle. So, now the way to find angle AOC, there's two ways you can look at it. You can either look at the full circle and get the arc measure there, so find arc AC, and then it's the same number, or you could look at these three angles right here. Either way, it's going to add up to 360. So what you want to do is add the 172 and the 26, and you'll get 198. And then you subtract 198 from 360, and you get 162. So angle AOC is 162 degrees, and it didn't ask for it, but arc AC is also 162 degrees. One quick note on the schedule here, since we had Memorial Day yesterday on Monday, we moved all the days ahead one. So period 2, 4, and 8, your classes are now on Tuesday and Thursday. Periods 3, 5, and 9, your classes are Wednesday and Friday. And actually these class times are no longer correct either, because Tuesday is a regular schedule. So these class times, the normal regular ones, are going to be your Tuesday and your Thursday time. Next week we'll go back to normal though. So today what we're going to look at is the difference between a central and an inscribed angle. And these are the definitions. You should definitely write them down. A central angle is one where the vertex is at the center of the circle. Makes sense. The word central right there, central and center, pretty much the same thing. Now inscribed angles are ones where the vertex is on the circumference of the circle. And real quick, I'll draw a couple examples for you. So for a central angle, it's anything where the angle itself, the vertex is right at the center. So like this angle right here is the central angle. The angles we had in the do now were all central angles. Now an inscribed angle, the vertex can be anywhere along the circumference. So you can just pick a spot like there. And then this is an inscribed angle. So one thing we're going to be very concerned about is the arc that these angles intercept. So if you think of angle BDA right here, this angle, the arc it intercepts is if you continue these lines, it's the arc that's in the middle of it. It's right here. Arc BA is in the middle of angle BDA. Now, for angle BEA, start at BEA. This is the angle. The arc in the middle of this angle is right here again, BA. Now one thing that's super helpful to look at is the arc it intercepts is just these outside letters. As long as those outside letters are on the circumference, that's the arc that it'll intercept. Now, there's also a really cool relationship with this too. If, for example, we say that arc BA is 170 degrees or so, then the arc measure is equal to the central angle measure. So the central angle, BOA, is going to be 170 degrees. Now, for the inscribed angles, one thing is really helpful. These inscribed angles, BDA and BEA, since they intercept the same arc, these angles are going to be congruent. Just because they intercept the same arc. So two angles that intercept the same arc, as long as they're both inscribed or central, depending on your situation, will have the same measure. Now the relationship between this, though, is if you take 1/2 of the arc measure, you get the inscribed angle. So, in order to figure out how big angle BDA is and angle BEA, what you have to do is you do 170 divided by 2, which means that these are both 85 degrees. Let's practice those a few times. So this first question on the left, we're given an inscribed angle, angle STR, and that's inscribed. And we're asked to find the arc measure. So from the inscribed angle to the arc measure, you would have to multiply by 2. The arc is going to be bigger than the inscribed angle. The inscribed angle is always smaller. So this angle measure is, arc measure rather, is 70 degrees. Okay, so for the one in the middle, we have to find the inscribed angle. So we want to look and figure out what is this arc measure right here. And we don't have anything. But one thing you do know is that all of the arcs have to add up to 360. So what you can do is start off by doing 101 plus 97, which gives you 198. And then you do 360 minus 198. That arc right there is 162 degrees. Now remember, the inscribed angle is smaller than the arc measure. It's half the measure. So divide by 2 here, and you get the angle CED is 81 degrees. Now for this last question, we're asked to find the measure of arc LK. So to find the measure of arc LK, what we have to do first is we have to figure out what is the angle measure for LMK. And in order to do that, there's actually a few other steps too. So first off, I'm going to color code these so you can see it a little better. We know that arc MK is 98, and that matches up with angle L. So what you want to do here, go from the arc to the angle, is divide by 2. So divide 98 degrees by 2, and you get 49 degrees. So now we also know that a triangle adds up to 180. So we can do 61 plus 49, which gives you 110. And then do 180 minus 110 to get 70 degrees. That's the angle that we're missing here. That's angle M. And now from angle M, to get the arc measure, or the arc that it intercepts since it's an inscribed angle, we would multiply by 2, and this arc measure is 140 degrees. So you guys should practice this for a bit and then try this wrap-up question. I know the central angle is 32 degrees for the intercepted arc AB. What is the measure of the inscribed angle for the same arc? How do you know? A lot of words there. Here's my suggestion to you. First, draw a picture. Magic! So the central angle is 32 degrees, which I already have labeled there. It's saying, what about the inscribed angle from the same arc? So from the same arc means you'd have to start from A and B, and then you can pick any place along there. Now, students always get confused with this. Is the inscribed angle bigger or is it smaller? Do we multiply by 2 or divide by 2 to figure out that angle? And you can kind of just see, looking at it, that the inscribed angle is definitely a little bit smaller. It doesn't open up quite as large to get to the same arc. So you're going to divide by 2 here. Basically, if you do the central angle divided by 2, you're going to get the inscribed angle for the same arc. So 32 divided by 2 is 16 degrees.